Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Brown Queens. I'm Neha.
And I am Jyoti K. What's up, you guys?
What's up? We're so excited. We're gonna have Navjot at Metaphysical Goddess.
Yes, Metaphysical
her
Goddess.
Instagram name on here in just a little bit, and she's gonna talk about spirituality, mental health. She's a life coach.
Yes.
And just all things in that field. So super excited for that.
Yep, she majored in psychology and minor in physiology.
Look at us like messing up everything.
I know, we're like, I'm like, sorry guys, it's been a while since I've been to school.
But she will explain everything, and just very excited to get this whole mental health January started off.
Yep, and we had some people ask us some questions, so we made sure that we included those into the questions that we asked her. So we will have her on right now. Give us a moment. All right, guys, we have a special guest with us today.
This is part of like our whole mental health focus in January. We have a fellow Brown Queen with us, and you are a life coach, right? A certified life coach? Would be
yes.
the fact, or how would you say your title?
Yeah, life coach is really broad. I would say that's definitely the umbrella the work that I do falls into. I do more self-development coaching, and then I bring a spiritual aspect into it. So that's something I definitely look for, is for people who are wanting to connect to their spirit.
Okay, so I know I'm very spiritual, and she's
teaching me.
Yeah,
how to be.
I'm like, Jyoti, how do you not know your love language?
Yeah,
and
I
like,
love it.
I'm like, listen, we need to we're all about manifesting and all of this stuff in 2021. What's so interesting is I actually just learned this too. I know that a lot of Indians aren't super into that stuff, but it actually comes from Hinduism and just being, it comes directly from India. So when all my friends are like, oh, you're so into that stuff, I'm like, listen, this is literally who we are.
Culture.
Yeah, we're literally tapping into our ancestral, you know what I mean? Our energetic lineages. And it's very interesting, right? How Indians came to the West and really forgot about that. And then all the Western people are literally saving themselves by these, chakras and all these things.
Yeah, it's so in right now. And I'm like, this comes from our culture.
And
right.
I'm so happy too. When I feel even with Neha, you guys are so much more life is wonderful, life is great. And I'm like, okay.
Listen, my life is not always wonderful. But I think it's more so a balance, right? It's kind of no matter what's going on externally, you're internally at peace.
Yes, absolutely. Manifesting from the inside out, because at the end of the day, I've done a lot of studying of quantum physics, and at the end of the day, the physical reality isn't really what's going on. It's everything's internal. Everything's about perspective.
And tell us about that. How did you when did you know you wanted to be a life coach, and how did you become one, or how can one become one? Let us know.
Yeah. What was your journey?
Yeah.
Your journey to
Wow. Okay. So this is it's a lot, but it's very interesting how I got into this work. It's kind of when you open up spiritually, right? Then it's kind of life is going through you. So it's almost I didn't choose this, it chose me in a way. Back in
you had a spiritual awakening.
I had a spiritual, I'm always having a spiritual awakening. Literally. So when I was 21, I left a 5-year abusive relationship. Dude was a woman beater. He was Punjabi. I had a very interesting time, from 16 to 21 being with this guy.
Yeah, you were so young.
From 16. So I guess I'll go back a little bit. So I was always growing up, I was always really spiritual. I was always really into Sikhi. My parents put me in Punjabi school. Growing up, I was always very friendly and very open and very social. And even in my household dynamic, I don't think my parents knew, especially my dad, what to do with such an outspoken child. It was when I was younger, by the time I was 5, right, it was just don't talk so much. And if you share your opinion,
I feel that's how it was for me too. I was so talkative.
My mom
I felt everybody was always I'd get in trouble in school for talking too much. I was just.
And your parents say that too. They're don't talk because it looks bad. It's
or a woman's supposed to be more submissive, right? And my sister, she's more shyer than me, naturally, her personality, but it was I noticed the dynamic of how we would get treated, right? And so it was just interesting. And yeah, so growing up, I don't know, I feel yeah, I just kind of really didn't get that because I was always really loud, but I always felt like there's something wrong with me because of the way that women are supposed to be, right? I felt like no matter what I did, it was like kept on getting bullied by our own people. And I would get bullied. I would, whether it was like, it's not even like straight up. It's like they're just talking shit about you like left and right. And then you find out. And it's like, I got really sick of it. I got really turned off by it. I started questioning everything. So it was like, when I was 16, I was like, you know what? Like, I wasn't really allowed to hang out with non-brown people. And as you guys know from last year with just the Black Lives Matter stuff popping off, I was like, yo, like we got to check our community because we grew up around a lot of racism. Like I know I did, like my parents didn't want me to hang out with anybody. And they had this strong belief that if I was to hang out with people that weren't Indian, that means I wouldn't be successful. I wouldn't be a doctor and I wouldn't be the mold. Right.
Yeah.
I was always a rebel. And so when I was 16, I was like, you know what, I'm going to test this theory. Like, so I just like really, and excuse my language, I like give the Indian community a big like fuck you because I was like, I'm just done getting bullied. Like I didn't know where I fit in because I was like, when I'm around my American friends and at school, I could finally breathe. And I didn't have to put on a mask.
You were talking about that, remember?
Yeah.
I feel like this is why we started our podcast because we were like, everybody thinks you either have to like fit into this like Indian mold or like you could hang out with like Jyoti and me have lots of friends that are non-Indian as well as Indian. So it's like really you're finding the balance between two cultures. Like you don't have to fit into one box or the other. Like we're all just like complex people trying to like find our balance.
Absolutely. Well said. That's really what I feel like it is. And I think that coming here, our parents, and it took me so long because for so long I didn't get it. It was always like I would like freaking run away. Like I was just like wild because I didn't like being confined. But I think now I realize like women like us, we were meant to show our community and our family the way, because how would my dad know even like how to have a woman where or a daughter that was like, okay, I can go out when the sun's down and I'm going to be freaking fine.
Yeah, they were doing the best they could because they didn't know how to raise Indian people in America.
No, first generation.
Yeah. And so it's cool to come to that understanding now, but it wasn't like that. So when I was 16, I was like really rebelling, just trying to find myself. I was very lost. I did party a lot. I did get involved in all those things. I don't regret one bit of it. I think that when I got with that guy, it was more so like, I just wanted some sort of love and I wanted a relationship, but like, we don't talk about sex growing up. We don't talk about boyfriends. We don't talk about hormones. We don't talk about love. So I really had to learn things.
That's what we were saying too. Like Indians can talk about anything. Like they don't talk
about forbidden. Everything's forbidden. Don't talk. Don't do that.
And that's what causes so many mental health issues. And like the biggest mental health issue that I help most of my clients. So right now, actually, 99% of my clients are Indian. I only have 4 people of color. I only have 1 client that isn't. And, she's learning a lot too, but it's just like very interesting, the patterns that I'm seeing. And
that's what I want to talk about. Like,
what are the patterns you're seeing? Tell us.
So the one thing that I'm seeing that I'm really helping people with is, especially women, is finding our voice and being comfortable in our decisions. And I think that this is something that Indian men also struggle with and Indian women, because growing up, it was like our parents' way or the highway, right? And it was like, if we wanted to make a decision like, hey, I actually want to get into drama or I want to get into acting. And it was always just like, shut off, it's like only science. And so when I got my degree, I was even like, I studied bio because I felt like I had to. And then I ended up getting a degree in psychology because I was like really interested in the mind. And at the time I was with that abusive guy. So I think like it was almost a savior it was like to save me because I finally understood like all the reasons why I was even accepting that kind of behavior from a man and like how much it relates to like our ancestral trauma and like things that women have just had to like put up with. And so I just realizing that, I was getting my degree when I was like 21. I was in my last year. And I think after studying psychology for a few years, I was like, you know what, like, I know exactly like I have to leave this, and the thing about abusive relationships that people don't understand is it's not easy because it's like when you're with a narcissist, they're going to make you believe that it's your fault. Right. So it's like he would hit me and make me think it was my fault. Right. And so for so long of doing that, I programmed myself to thinking like there was something wrong with me, and like me speaking up, or me, my opinions, or me making other people laugh, you know, like that was such a bad thing. So I shut off my spirit and who I was. And I kind of, even though I left him when I was 21, I was like in a really dark place because I didn't know who I was. For 5 years, in those very developmental years, I let, you know, everyone define me, you know, like I didn't let me define me. And it was like anything he said would define me. And so it was really powerful because now I'm really grateful 8 years looking back, because I don't think I would have had as much of a drive to find myself and find meaning and purpose if I didn't hit that rock bottom, you know? And so, yeah.
So then after that, how did you get it? How did you get into life coaching?
Yeah. So my degree was in psychology. They told me I could graduate early, and I just broken up with him, and they were like, oh, you can add a minor. And I was like, okay, I'm going to add a minor in philosophy. And I took my first metaphysics course, hence the metaphysical goddess. So I took my first metaphysics course, and I was just blown away because it was all about talking about the physical reality, but like what's beyond that, right? It's like, yes, we can describe the physical reality with physics, with joules, with energy, but what is energy itself? And I took a physics course shortly after that with this Indian professor, and he has like his doctorate, and he was like, look, I can describe energy to you in like force and thermodynamics and everything, but I can't tell you what it is. And so right then I was like going crazy. I was like, I got to find out what this energy stuff is, you know, like what makes us like what drives us. So then I started doing my own healing work, and I didn't start life coaching until last year. So 7 years into my healing journey, going through very different modalities. So first it started with, I got my yoga teacher training. So I did that in Costa Rica. I spent 3 weeks out there at a resort or a retreat center. And it was really beautiful. So retreats is actually how I healed a lot of my pain. So at retreats, people are holding space for you, which means, you know, you go there and you leave feeling super light because you're going there. So
side question, have you done ayahuasca?
Yes. So I've done ayahuasca 7 times.
I'm terrified of it.
I want to do it. I want to do it like in a forest and like heal.
Yes.
Whatever.
Oh, you're going to love this.
I literally was actually listening to a podcast with Sanjay Gupta, the doctor.
Yes.
And he was actually even talking about how like so many like therapists and whatever like will literally prescribe like ayahuasca and things like that. Because antidepressants have so many side effects, and a lot of people take them for years and they never get past the depression. Doing something like ayahuasca or even mushrooms or whatever, but like with an advised person that's like guiding you can actually like, because it really does like lower your inhibitions in your brain, and all of the things that you suppress you release, and they say that it literally will physically like heal those parts of the brain that have experienced trauma. So I was like, wow, I need to try it.
I'm living proof of that. Honestly, I give all of my reverence to sacred plant medicines, because over the past, like I said, before I started coaching, over the past 7 years, me just really healing my stuff, cultural stuff, just things that have happened to me, trauma. It was like, I started off with yoga retreats, and then I was going to meditation retreats, and then I started doing mushrooms around that time when I was 21. And at first it wasn't very intentional of healing, but you know, it just naturally heals you. I was just doing it with friends. And then now actually where I'm at, as you ladies know, I'm living in Mexico now. And there's actually a Punjabi guy that I know that owns a retreat center out here in the jungle. And I am actually being called now.
That's what we're doing.
So I'm being called now. I'm going to be guiding ayahuasca and mushroom retreats and psychedelic retreats out here for healing our people. So so my year-long clients, they get it with their package, and then I'm going to be selling some tickets on the side. It's going to be extremely healing. This is why I came here. So the reason why I went with life coaching instead of therapy is because when I studied psychology, which was great, but all the psychologists I was studying were all Eurocentric, right? So you hear Carl Jung, you hear, you know, even the philosophers I was studying, Nietzsche, Kant, you know, all these people, which are beautiful. They opened my eyes to even questioning the world and the reality we live in. But I healed through Eastern modalities, through Ayurveda, through yoga, through true holistic healing from the Vedas, right? Which is the first society in India that created astrology and all of that. So I also love astrology, so I'm getting into that as well. So basically after like 8 years of me just healing myself, which, you know, healing is an ongoing journey. But right now I'm at the point this past year where I launched my business. And to be a life coach, people are hiring you based on your life experience. So it's not even based on degree or anything. That's why like there's so many different niches. But I really am holding space for South Asian people to evolve. So that's really what I'm helping people with. And my life is a testimony of that. So the clients that I work with, I really only offer my services to people, one, if they're self-aware to some aspect, right? Because then my job gets a lot easier, because then I can give you the tools and I can give them the, you know, the things that are going to help them get closer to their spirit and live their life purpose. Because another thing I'm really passionate about is I really want to take our people away from thinking that there's only one route to success, which is stressing yourself out with school or you know what I mean? Like learning that you're not even, your spirit's not even in it. Like how many doctors do we know that force themselves to go to med school?
Oh my gosh.
Because of their, you know, like that growing up, like was so wrong to me. Like even when I was younger, and I would be very passionate about that, because it's just like we came here in these bodies for such a short amount of time. And it's like, I understand, you know, our parents wanted us to be successful and that's all they know. But there are so many other ways to monetize your talents and your gifts and really live out your purpose. And I think that that's why a lot of our people are on antidepressants, on anti-anxiety, because they've been fighting their spirit and what they actually came here to do based on these molds that they were, and then they don't have trust in their voice to speak up. You know what I mean? Of like, I love you, mom and dad, but you know, I'm really passionate about art. So I'm going to take this route and I promise I'm going to be successful. And setting things up like that way, having conversations with your parents is like really something that I feel like I'm tapping into now. So yeah.
So what are those patterns that you see that with your like Indian clients or in the brown community?
Yeah. So one, definitely women empowerment is something I help a lot with. Like I was saying, activating that throat chakra, which is your self-expression. A lot of us are blocked here, and due to many things. Maybe you were younger and every time somebody told you stop talking, or somebody told you no, or you're stupid, or, you know, the ways that Indian parents kind of talk to their kids. I mean, it is what it is, right? But every time that happens, it gets stored in your spinal column, in your subconscious. And so that's why you end up programming your mind, which is your greatest CPU. You're sending codes of like, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough.
I actually read that in a book too. Like that,
the four agreements.
When you hear things as a kid, and then you just like literally in the back of your head, that's why people form insecurities.
Yeah, so I start with inner child work with everybody, because I feel like with the Indian community, our inner child, not right, with our parents didn't know, right? But our inner child was cut off very early on, because when you're a child, right, and you're like 5, 6 years old and you're like told that you're only going to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer, like you're already cutting off all of the imagination and the possibilities. And I also noticed in a lot of my Desi clients that they lose their sense of fun in this world, because a lot of us had to grow up very young, you know what I mean? Depending on family toxicity, depending on having to care for, you know, especially as women and as the oldest daughters, a lot of us take on a lot of our family's emotional stuff, and we're the ones that are always there, you know, like my parents, when I moved I hate to put my family on blast, but when I moved, you know, whenever I move and leave the house, because I haven't really lived at home since last year, like in a while. And, you know, they'll be like, oh, like Ronak is gone. Like our liveliness is gone. And I really feel like in a way it's beautiful that the older daughter takes that, but in a way it's very heavy on us.
Sure. So heavy. You feel like this guilt and like just
guilt.
Yeah.
You don't
so
want
much guilt
because you have all this like stuff on your shoulders. Like, oh, if I move away, or if I start doing this, or if I don't make money, or blah, 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 you're like, you know, you feel this on your shoulders. So this day, my mom takes shit out on me, and I'm like, what'd I do?
and it's also like the first generation, like immigrant guilt that we carry too. Like, oh, our parents moved to this country for
give us a better life.
Yeah, so like now we have to like do these things and like give everything back to them and like be these incredible people, or their entire lives are wasted, which is like a huge burden to carry, like as a person.
Isn't it crazy that we all live the same life, but growing up we thought we were alone? Like, isn't that crazy? You get older and you meet everybody, you're like, me too.
See, it's because no one talks about it. That's why
no one talks about it. And that's like a lot of the stuff that I work on with my female Indian clients is that guilt, that shame, feeling guilty for being selfish, right? Like of like moving out and doing your own thing. It's like called selfish, but we can't we can't truly serve others if we're not filling up our cup. And that's a concept that I really feel like we need to like reprogram. And that's what I've really worked on myself. And now I help Indian women do that. And also one thing is I start everybody off with remembering that we're the prize. Because growing up in relationships, the man has always been put on a pedestal. So that's another pattern that I teach women, is that we're the prize, and like we give so much and we love so much and it's in our blood. And so just remembering like your worth is a lot of the work that I do with these women. And it's been beautiful to see them get into these relationships where they're really flourishing now because they leveled up on their own worth, right? So that's
I know. Do you feel like as like just brown women, I feel like of any like Indian, Middle Eastern,
right,
whatever culture, that like that affects our relationship so much, like the way we were raised, the way girls are raised. Because Jyoti and me both always talk about how we're like the givers in the relationship, all that stuff. Which is
we
like,
grew up seeing our moms like break their backs for our dads, you know, and still work. Like my mom's a full-time nurse, so it's like, you know, and my dad's great. I mean, he can cook and clean, which is awesome, but I know that's not always the case in a lot of households.
No.
So yeah, I think growing up with that, that's when I really realized of like, oh, like I would, and that first guy wasn't the first abusive brown guy I was with. I was with another one that also took advantage of me in a lot of ways. And I was like, oh, where's this pattern coming from? You know? And I feel like it goes even beyond our moms and like our whole entire maternal lineages of like the women of just having to, you know, take it and stay quiet. You know, so that's something that I really help reprogram in the mind, because these stories, right, that we have in our subconscious, like how I was saying, they can really be reprogrammed. And that's like the coolest thing, the journey that I take through people is like having the voice, and then also being able to stand up for yourself and your worth and know that you're worthy. And like, you're not crazy if you ask someone to respect you or like, you know, demand respect from somebody. We were never taught that, right? So it's just an interesting dynamic, you know? And so.
And you said that you just got your first guy client, right?
I got my first male Indian client. So I've had male clients before, but this is my first male Desi client. And I'm excited because it's like, we know that, and I know that Desi men struggle with different things than we do. And so it's going to be
they have a world of problems. They need to all go to therapy.
Yeah. Right? They all need it. They all
actually.
I was like, I told him, I'm like, dude, I'm so grateful because this is going to be revolutionary of just.
And I feel like guys are so reluctant to like get mental health help.
They also have that on their shoulders. I'm the man. I'm the man.
I can't cry and I can't release. And I think that's why I see so many anger issues with the men in our community. And I was actually talking to Kay Ray like a couple months ago, and she was telling me the same thing of just like, we were talking about how there's this anger. And I feel like anger is one of those emotions, just from my own studies, of it comes from bottled up emotions. So like maybe they were taught they weren't supposed to cry and be tough all the time and not be sensitive. And it's like, that's really a detrimental way to raise boys, like little boys. So it's going to be interesting to dive in. I mean, obviously I don't know exactly what we'll be working on because I start with him next week. But in general, you know, I really want to hold space at these healing retreats out here and wherever else I end up doing them with the psychedelics. And maybe some of them I'll just do yoga and meditation, but it's going to be really powerful, I think, for me to also host men's circles, and then eventually get some men that want to be healers in our community, because I'm seeing it. I was in the yoga world for so long, and I was like the only Desi girl in the West in the yoga world. I'd go to like
so weird because that's from
India. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, like spirituality comes from our culture.
Yeah, it was so wild. Like I went to Bhakti Fest like 3 years in a row, which is a yoga festival in Joshua Tree. I was the only Indian woman there who was a yoga teacher, but that's a whole nother thing of just like them trying to school me. And I'm like, you guys
invented this.
Let me tell you what yoga means.
Right? It's so interesting because it's like yoga in the West, I think it's just about the Lululemon pants and like going to class and it's like getting the green juices. And it's like, no, yoga's like a lifestyle, you know? Yeah. So I mean, going there was really healing though, because I mean, in general, all races, the men and the women are starting to heal. And so it was really cool for me to see, you know, these other races at these festivals holding men's circles. And I learned a lot from observation, and I really feel ready to start hosting those so that I can eventually train. And, you know, once once somebody starts healing, they're going to want to help others. So it's going to be interesting to get, a counterpart in there of a male energy that can help me host these retreats and be there and to support the men too.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You mentioned like being in an abusive relationship. Like, I know that's super hard. Like, I know somebody that's kind of in one, because it's just like they don't want to get out of it for some reason, and you can't really tell them to get out of it. So like, what advice do you have for people either that are friends with people in abusive relationships or people that are in them?
Mm-hmm.
That's a great question. Yeah. So I would say that I completely understand with it being hard to get out of it, because we don't realize that we can actually get addicted to suffering. So when we get addicted to drama, so naturally, like subconsciously. So when my ex would do things like that to me, it was almost like I was drawn to like continue pleasing him. And like, it was like this dynamic, right? Of like, when we grow up, we always want to please our parents, specifically our father, right? And so it was like this dynamic of like understanding the psychology of like why you're addicted to that. Really broke me away from it. So I think that I would really sit with a friend and be like very honest with her, because I think what made me leave was actually, I had this little like Persian friend who was like a firecracker, like super just badass bitch, right? And she straight up was like, Navjot, you have not one good thing to say about your man. Is this really who you want to be with for the rest of your life? You have nothing good to say about him. You're always saying so. So I realized, I'm like, oh shit, like I really needed to be called out like that. Yeah. Whereas, I mean, I didn't really come out to people that he was abusing me until like maybe 4 years into it. And a lot of my friends would stay silent because it's uncomfortable to talk about. And then also this premise came into my mind of if you there was a 5-year-old you, right? Inner child healing. So let's say 5-year-old you is watching how you and this guy taking a step back to a third person perspective of a kid, and you see how you guys act towards each other. Would you call that love? And I was like, it was like a clear full body, fuck no, you know? And so that's really when that day where, and when you're with an abuser, they also get addicted to abusing you because you keep taking it. So that day, I just remember I called him and I was like, look, I'm done. Like, I'm not coming back, because we used to break up, get back together all the time. But I had that realization. I was like, look, like, even though this is hard as fuck for me to leave, I'm done. And I was like the first time in my life where I stepped into my power. And he called me like 50 times, left me like, 10 voicemails trying to get me to give into his manipulation. And for the first time, I did not pick up one call. And so that was very powerful for me. So I think as a friend, just premising it in a way where you're understanding, but you're allowing them to also see their own psychology, right? And be like, look, like, questions are really good to ask that way, because somebody's ego is going to get more triggered if you're telling them, but if you ask a question, it's a really good, they call it the Socratic method in psychology, where you're asking a question. So then they come to the answers and the conclusions themselves from their own mouth, And so when she asked me that, I was like, no, actually, I don't want to be with a guy that I'm always talking shit about, like, and it was like, no, a kid would not say this is love, And so from there was really how I started to step into my power and leave. And it wasn't easy. And so even telling them like, look, I know it's not easy. Because sometimes we like beat around the bush of the fact that it should be easy. Like, oh yeah, fuck that guy, like leave. It's not easy. It's not meant to be easy, but just let them know that they can still get through it and leave, because we don't deserve that. I mean, nobody deserves that. So
yeah, not at all.
Yeah. So definitely asking the right questions to get them to come to the conclusion themselves.
Thank you.
Well, one other question I had was based on what we were talking about yesterday. Well, I was talking to myself about yesterday. Why do you think Indian people will have to, or brown people feel the need to have to bring one another down? What do you think that comes from? What do you think that stems from?
Yeah, so I think honestly, if we go back, I think this constant need to compare one another, it's really like, I feel like it should be in the DSM, like like
I think it's like a societal thing too, like not even Indian, it's just like all like in America too, like everything is based on like we're constantly comparing ourselves to each other. So then like when you feel insecure about something, you like project that as like hate. Literally.
Yes, exactly. And in the brown community, it's like tenfold, right? It's like this care about what people think. And we were raised
Oh
that
my
way
God.
from such a young
There's
age.
so much about what people think.
Too much.
Yeah. And children don't come into this world with hate in their heart. Like you leave a party and you don't have anything nice to say about the people you were just at the party at, with.
Yeah. Like,
or
why
like they do the same thing for you, or like there's a wedding and it's like, what kind of like fucked up energy is that you're gonna sit there and talk shit about the bride and groom and like what she was wearing and like all that.
That's
Luckily,
such
my
an
mom's not
Indian
like
thing,
that,
and I hate it. Like,
but I know
all
there's
the-
so many aunties.
Yeah, like all the older adults, like the aunties and uncles, are constantly talking shit about everything.
Yes. And
So
I
what's the
was,
problem?
I had to like admit through my own self-awareness, I'm like, dude, I'm giving into this. Like, why do I give a shit what Jocelyn or Manpreet or like all these people are doing,
I know.
Right?
So I'm like, what
live
am
your
I
best
doing?
life.
Yeah, like my sister and I, like we really, I mean, my sister
You
growing
really
up,
do have to pull yourself out of it.
pull yourself out of it, because it's not good for us. It's not good for our spirit. It's not good for our community. And I see things changing the more that we have these conversations. But I think it really stems from going back to the question of just us putting such a heaviness on this comparing to one another. And that's really when it turns, and from a young age, if you don't reprogram that, you're going to be an adult still acting like a little like kid in a way of just like drama and talking badly about one another for no really good reason. Like,
no
because
reason.
somebody wore a suit twice, like whatever. Who cares?
For real. Or somebody got like even the aunties like, oh, you've gained a little bit of weight.
They're the worst.
I'm like,
even
you're
if you've
the
lost
worst.
weight, they're like, oh, you're a little bit too skinny now.
Oh, they're not feeding.
Yeah.
It's like, you got old, lady. No one's telling you anything. Like, know. But I had to ask some questions on my story.
Yeah.
And well, one was, do you like black guys? That had nothing with what I was asking. Look, it literally says that to me. Like, what I asked you something totally off. Anyways.
Well, I love black guys, so whoever asked that. I love black guys.
It's like I asked, like, oh, do you guys need advice on something? Do you like black guys? But anyways, this is something that we were talking about. Why do men's mental health not get enough recognition? We kind of like spoke about that. What are your goals for 2021?
Yes, so I love this question too. So 2021, my goal is to like fully outlive this purpose that I have here in Mexico to host retreats. I'm hosting my first retreat in April. And it's in the jungle at the Ayurvedic Retreat Center. Yes, please come. Yeah. So it's going to be beautiful experiences. My intention is just to cultivate at least 4 retreats this year. The first one's not going to be a plant medicine one. I might introduce shrooms or microdosing to my clients, to some people that are interested. But after that, I do want to work with some shamans that I have met out here through the retreat center I'm working with. So I'll be doing some plant medicine retreats. One of my New Year's goals is I'm writing a book right now on identity, because I do if I was to like I do a broad range of coaching, but I would say the one thing that I do is identity work. So really releasing all those old stories of who we think we are and coming back to who we truly are, which is powerful beings that can make anything happen. And from there, adding the identities that you really do want to affirm into your life. So this book is all about identity, and I'm really excited about it. And I'm getting it pushed out by the end of the month. And then also my podcast, Meta Talks, is going to be launching this month. And right now it's an IG live series that I really enjoy doing. So those 3 things I would say are my biggest goals: is my retreats, book, and podcast.
Love it.
Where can people find you if they want to talk to you and maybe, want to reach out to you and things like
that?
Shout
out your Instagram.
Yeah, let everyone know.
Yes, definitely. So if anybody is picking up what I'm putting down or even wants to share a story, I'm very open. So please reach out to me at metaphysical_goddess on Instagram. Just shoot me a DM. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me. Metaphysical is METAPYHYSICAL_goddess.
Awesome. It was so much fun talking to
you. We want to
you're booking our flights to Mexico.
No, really, honestly. I'm trying to get better with my spiritual self.
She's going to tap into it.
Yeah, I'm going to get better with it. Cause I'm very I've always been, I'm not as rough as people think I am. I'm actually pretty soft.
She's a hard
no, but I'm like pretty soft. Like I'm a very sensitive person, and a lot of people don't know that, because obviously you show what you want to show, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I think everyone should, tap into their spiritual self and do some work. So I think in 2021, that's something that I want to work on.
Love it.
Yes. Well, you know where I'm at. If you ever just want someone to hold space for you, I mean, I can just already see, you're already a creative, so that's super dope. So it's just like, yeah, and just tapping into that power is going to be really awesome. And I really can't wait for you guys to visit. So get your butts out here.
We're looking up sites.
Yeah, you don't have to say it again. Trust.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much for
Thank
taking
you
time
so
out.
much.
I mean, I know you were at the pool. We'll let you get back to, your fabulous
go
Mexico
swim
life.
by the pool.
Yeah.
Yes, I love it. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super, super grateful and appreciative.
That was awesome. I love talking spirituality.
I know you do. You guys are making me want to actually explore my spirituality.
Which I'm so excited for.
I know. She was really easy to talk to, Navjot.
So easy.
So I think we should make a trip to Mexico soon.
Yes, and that's when you're going to explore your spirituality, when we're in Mexico.
And we should vlog it, honestly. I feel like, and I think because a lot of people, I think it's even though we were talking about it came from India, but like people aren't spiritual for some reason out here.
I know. They really, I mean, I know that it's like the thing to do in 2021, but still like people kind of are like, I don't know.
Hesitant or think it's weird or something.
Yeah, they're acting like we're talking about like ghosts and zombies or something.
They think it's not cool, or it's like people that are like only hippies that do it. Not that there's anything wrong with hippies. Hippies are cool.
Yeah, I'm okay with being a hippie.
Yeah, but I think that's what a lot of people think. So I think that's another reason why I want to vlog it, because I feel like I don't seem like somebody who would do something like that. You know what I mean?
I'm all for it.
Yeah, so I think definitely. And you guys should hit her up as well. She's really easy to talk to, and if you have any questions and kind of share any experiences, and us too, hit us up too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we're cool.
We're cool. We promise. We're nice too.
We're nice too. But
how was your week?
It was good. Weekend. What did I do? Well, I'm working on a project with my mom right now. Well, not with her, for her. Like, I'm trying to flip my mom's restaurant, a coffee shop, and turn it into like a fast food place, and just basically make it poppin'.
Yeah.
So that's something I've been working on, and it's been very exciting. Like, when something's your own, how excited you are. And
one of my goals this year is to start a business.
Yeah.
I don't know what type of business or what I will sell, but it'll be something.
It'll come to you, because I was literally sitting there and I was helping my mom because work is slow, and COVID made me realize you should help your family, So I was sitting there just staring around the restaurant, and somebody came to ask for food, and my mom didn't she's old now. She doesn't want to make food and stuff. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like looking around, and I call my best friend and I tell her, and she's like, girl, I've been waiting for you to tell me when you were like ready to revamp this place. I'm like, really? It's just when you're ready, you're ready.
Yeah.
So I looked at the potential, and it's just exciting. It's like every little step, it's making a difference.
And it's giving you like purpose right now. By the way, I forgot to tell you last week, but when we were talking about purpose, and this is for everybody out there too, you need to watch Soul.
Soul? What is that, a movie?
Yeah, the new Disney movie Soul that everybody's been talking about. You haven't seen it?
No, I've been so consumed in like the work that I've been doing. Yeah.
Have you seen everybody posting about it though?
I think I didn't realize what they were posting about.
So it is such a good. It's like the new Pixar film, and it's literally about like this guy finding his purpose and stuff. It's like a Disney movie, but it's
okay.
It's like one of those where like it's actually like really adult.
It's adult, but it's in cartoon.
It is so cute. Like I was crying at the end, and it's just all about like this guy like being so like, I need to do this in my career, and I need to be successful, and I need to, and like obviously I don't want to ruin the movie for you, but you'll love it. You have to watch it tonight.
Okay.
I'm just gonna make you.
Okay, no, I'll watch it tonight, because tonight I'm not. Tomorrow I'll be at my mom's store. Today I didn't go. So.
And did you start Sex in the City?
I started like one episode only.
I hate you. You can start from season 2.
I remember you texting me that, and I don't know. I think I was arguing with someone, so I forgot.
Oh, your boyfriend?
Yes, I was. Yes, I think we're on the 5-month mark where we argue now a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. But he said I love you. Maybe that's why.
Okay. And did you say it back?
No, because I know I have strong feelings for him, but in the past, I've said I love you just because they've said it.
I like that you didn't, like, you want to say it when you actually, like, really feel like you're there.
And I feel like I'm almost there, but I also think that, like, I shouldn't just say it to satisfy somebody, you know what I mean? So he wasn't mad about it or anything, but we did it in circumstances where we're fighting, and I'm like, what's wrong with you? Why are you acting like this? Like, why are you so on me? You know what I mean? He's like, 'cause I love you, stupid. And I was like, oh.
What is he on you about?
I remember the Sunday when I was asking you, like, if we want to do something or whatever.
Yeah, and then she ditched me, by the way.
Okay, by the way, my friend came and, like, she's like, I'm outside.
You're lucky I'm such a chill person that's like, oh, whatever.
No, well, you didn't miss out on anything because I was there and I realized how old I am. So she
weren't about it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it was. Like, so my friend was like, do you want to go? I'm outside. I have a +1. And I'm like, I don't have makeup on or anything. Remember I was telling you I'm not ready? And she's like, do it on the boat. And I'm like, okay. Like, she was just here. So I was like, And then, I was all frazzled and I was doing my makeup in the car. And then we get there. I had already told him that I was going to do something that day. You know what I mean? Because I don't really check in with him. At least I didn't think I had to.
Yeah.
So I'm just there. Even like with you, I was like, hey, la la la. And then he texts me and I was like, hey, babe, I'm busy. I'll call you later. And he called me. I didn't answer because it was so loud there. And I don't want him to get any ideas, like anything bad, even though I didn't do anything bad. I enjoyed the boat ride for maybe 2 hours. And then after that, I was like, I'm old. I want to go home.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even drink. Because I don't want to waste my workout. And everybody was like really like ratchet. It was the nicest boat or yacht I've ever been on. But I was just not in there. You know what I mean? I was just like, I'm not about this life anymore. And if it was maybe like my actual friends, like if we went on a yacht, it'd be different.
Exactly.
So anyway, so I already had a bad vibe. My phone died and I text him. I'm like, hey babe, I'm on 2%. My phone's about to die. And it literally died right there. But I'm not like tripping because
you just told him. Yeah,
and then I get off, the boat, and I get in the Uber, and, I kind of charged my phone for a little bit, and then I called an Uber, and I asked the Uber driver, I'm like, do you have a charger? Because I was using my friend's, and he's like, yeah. So I'm giving my phone some juice, and he starts calling me, and I'm like, oh, okay, he's calling. Hey, babe. And he's pissed, angry, mad, and I'm like, what's wrong? Like, I'm like, hey, what's up? Just got off a boat, and he was just like, what were you doing? He's like, I called you literally right after you texted me and your phone just died. I'm like, yeah, that's what happens. I'm like, I was on 2%. I was on 2% for a while. And he's like, well, I had called you earlier and you didn't like call me back. You said you would. I'm like, I got busy. I'm like, and I thought I'd just give you, let you know my phone's about to die so you're not worried.
Yeah.
But I guess that backfired on me. Like, I don't know what's going on. He's like, what were you really doing? Why didn't you want me to know? I'm like, I wasn't really doing anything. I went on a boat. So he had a feeling that I was up to something. That's why I didn't call him back or anything.
Okay.
Yeah, and this has been going on for 3 days. He's like, tell me the truth. I'm like, I have nothing to tell you about. And
Wait, he has major trust issues.
Yes.
What does he think you're having like a secret affair?
That's what I told him, and he's like, it's not about that. It's that you lied to me.
About what?
But I said I was going to call him back, and I didn't.
That's not a real lie.
Right?
That's not a lie.
I know. And
what do you mean? Like, you intend... That's like saying you lied to me. You said you'd be here on 9, and you're here at 9:05. That's literally not a lie.
And
that's
he said, he's like, and you disappeared. Literally, for 2 hours, I just disappeared. If I would have called him the next day in the morning, I would understand. Like, you have every right to be furious.
Yeah.
But, like, 2 hours later... So we've been arguing, and then I was just so tired of it. I'm like, I'm so tired of this. I don't know what's wrong with you, right? He's like, what's wrong with me? I love you, stupid. And in my head, I was thinking, like, unlove me. This is crazy, So we've been on this tip for like...
The trust issues are a bit of a red flag. Like, what is it? Every time you don't answer a call, he's going to think you're cheating on him?
He think, so that's, all my friends have said that thing, but he's trying to say that it's deeper than that. It's that, why did you not want to call me when you were there?
What?
Yeah, like...
You don't have to give a reason for that.
Yes.
Sometimes you're, like, around people, like, you're at a social thing, like...
And you're just, like, caught up. You're talking to people, and that's what it was. And it was really loud, and I just didn't... I guess I could have told him, hey, babe, it's really loud, but I just didn't... He never trips on me, so I never thought anything. So I even told him, I'm like, well, I guess, I didn't know that you were going to keep tabs on me all the time. He's like, it's not about keeping tabs, blah, blah, blah.
It is.
It really is, yeah. So... Yeah, that's where we're at right now, and it's kind of like frustrating and sad because if you were to subtract that, everything would be great. Yeah. But it's just he doesn't know how to let go of things, and he thinks he's always right.
Yeah, which is like a huge issue.
Very big issue.
Well, I wish you luck with that.
Well, let's talk about you.
Oh my God, guys, I'm going on a date finally.
Yes.
Like, claps.
extra 4 episodes of trying to get her.
I know. What's so funny is like the story is just my friends were like trying to set me up with this guy, and then he showed up on my Hinge, and he was literally like, "Oh my God, you're like the girl that like I'm supposed to text. I was gonna text this week," and I don't know.
Spirituality.
Yes,
she's been
it's like
about.
the universe is bringing us together and telling us to meet. But yeah, so expect that. He seems like a cool guy.
That's
but
good.
I feel
and
like,
you said he's cute, right?
Yeah, he's really cute. I choked on myself. I feel like I'm doing this thing though, and I never noticed this about myself, like where I think about like the worst case scenario before it. Like I was so into him when my friend was telling me about him, but now that like it's kind of real, I'm like, oh, well, like, what if he's like this? And what if he's like that? And like,
you're self-sabotaging.
Yeah. And I feel like I do that. Like, why do
You're blocking your blessings.
Yeah, I need to just give guys a chance without being like.
I think it's just because it hasn't been that long since your last one. And I think you haven't seen anybody. So it's always scared to like, let go. So I think that's what it is. But who cares? He's on, like, not that you care, but like, just don't block your blessings. So maybe that'll like get your feet wet.
I'm gonna give him a chance.
Get your feet wet to dating. It doesn't have to be. He doesn't have to be the one.
Yeah,
get
true.
Your feet back. Get your feet back. I'm excited for you.
Get back in the game.
Yes, please. I'm excited for you because now I have to live through you because now I'm dealing with relationship problems and I don't like it.
I know.
I'm like frustrated. Like I used to be the one that would cry and be really emotional, but now I'm just like, what do you want, babe? What do we want to do here?
I never want to go back to crying about a guy.
No.
Like after going through a traumatic relationship, you're just like, never again.
No, never, ever, ever. Never be in a traumatic relationship, you guys. Please get out. You're the queen.
For on a happier note, we need to shout out all of the our brown queens of the week.
Yes.
And kings is everybody who was at the inauguration.
Yes.
All the representation that is now in our government.
And our vice president.
Yes,
half
amazing.
Indian. Kamala Harris.
Claps for that representation. Representation is so important.
It is. We have all walks of life. Like we have I'll name some. Like one is Office of Management and Budget. Her name is Neera Tandon. Then we have Vendit Patel. We have Celine Gounder, Vivek Murthy. We have so many more, and they're like literally like 3 pages of Indian people on there. So
oh my God,
shout out to our pride and joy.
Yes.
Make us proud this year. No more Trump. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yes.
I never want to hear his name again.
I don't either. Like when he was leaving, he's like, we'll be back in another form. Like, what does that even mean?
What are you going to do? Like, just stay away.
Yeah, go away.
Go on an island somewhere and, live your rich life.
But definitely, like, this is a big day for America. Hopefully, shit gets better. Big day
for women, for people of color.
Everybody. It's a very good day. It was a good day to wake up today.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good news. And good day that you are going on a date. Yes. At least somebody loves me, I guess. I guess that's cool. And yeah, so.
Next week, we're going to try and have a therapist on.
Yes.
And then the week after, we're going to have the founder of an amazing nonprofit, which we will tell you guys more about.
A
brown king. So we have exciting episodes coming up.
Yes, a 2021. I kept thinking it was 2022 the other day. I don't know why.
Don't skip a year.
I know.
I need to make the most of this year.
My friend's like 2021. I'm like 22. She's like 21. Stop trying to make yourself older. I'm like, oh my God, I'm sorry. But yes, guys, there's so many exciting things. A lot of you have been interacting way more now. Thank you so much for listening. And yeah, do you have anything in conclusion?
No, follow us on @BrownQueensPod.
Yes.
Our email is at brownqueenspod@gmail.com.
Yes.
My Instagram's @theofficialnay and EY.
Mine's @JyotiK. And yep, we're always here.
Have a great week.
You too. Yes, me too. Everyone.
Too.
Everyone.
It's
Bye.
like at the drive-thru. Yeah, you're like, you too.
Yeah, shit. I mean, thanks. Bye. All right, guys. Bye.